episode 7, what if Hela found the 10 rings? And this did not go the way I thought it would. And it's your boy Icon with another Marvel animated TV review for you. And apparently we have 3 more episodes to go. Happy New Year to everybody as I record this. This is New Year's Day. And Marvel's What If has proven to be the fastest, quickest season I've ever seen in my entire life. It's 9 episodes, but instead of them giving us like 1 episode a week, they're giving us 3 episodes a week. Clearly they were trying to wrap this shit up before the new year. But so now the season's over and I'm only up to episode 7. So we got 2 more to go. So let's review episode 7 of Marvel's What If. So in this particular episode, and it was a very interesting episode. Like I actually didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but I really enjoyed this episode. So it kind of like it mimics the old Thor, the first Thor movie, because we all know the story of Hela, where Hela was Odin's original child, and together Odin and Hela, they terrorized the 9 realms and claimed kingdoms for their own. But then Odin got to a point where he was like tired of fighting, and he was just like, I've conquered all there is to be conquered, and he was ready to sit back and chill and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Hela was just like, no, father. She was like, there's more territory that needs to be conquered by us. And then he was like, no. So this now, we're at a standstill now because she wants to continue to conquer more places, and he's like, no, you must know when to say when. And then she's like, oh, let's slaughter them all. But then Odin told her, he was like, a person like you who doesn't care about life should not have power over death. And then she was like, well, what are you going to do, old man? She was like, you can't do nothing. And then it takes it. Now, in the original story, he banished her, like, to some random place that we never saw until eventually she broke out. And then she attacked Thor and she attacked Loki. But in this particular version, because it's What If, instead of instead of Odin banishing her to wherever it is he banished her, he did to her what he did to Thor in the Thor movie, which is he stripped her of her power and then banished her to Earth. And then he took her helmet because, Thor has the hammer, she has the helmet. So the helmet, which is the source of her power, he did the whole, whoever deems worthy shall wear this helmet or wear this crown. And then he sent the crown to Earth along with her. So now she crash lands on Earth. And because this takes place like in olden times, because it doesn't take place in like modern times, where she ended up, she crash landed to where the original owner of the 10 rings are. Now, I've never seen the Shang-Chi movie, but I mean, I get the gist of it with the 10 rings and everything. Obviously, this takes place where like the original owners of the 10 rings had the 10 rings before Shang-Chi got his hands on the 10 rings. So Hela, she falls into that place. Her helmet is on the floor, like it's stuck in the ground, just like it was in the Thor movie. And then Hela, she shows up. The guy who's in charge of the 10 rings at that moment, the ancestor, he shows up. He sees her. She sees the rings. And then she's like, oh, your rings are extraordinary. But she's like, it's no match for my power. And then she realizes she ain't got no power because Odin stripped her of all of her power. This turned into like a comical embarrassment scene where she thought that she was gonna whoop everybody ass and she couldn't. And then she even told him like the moment where the ancestor, when he actually had like got her down on her knees, she was just like, oh, if I had my crown, it would be you who would kneel before me. And he was just like, all right, go get your crown. And he was like, ain't nobody scared of you. And then she was like, oh, you would let me take the instrument of your demise. And he was just like, bitch, take the crown. But of course, she couldn't take the crown because he stripped her of the power, and she's no longer worthy to wear the crown. So now she's embarrassed. He takes her and he brings her into his palace. And when he brings her into his palace, the two of them are having a conversation. And she's just like, oh, she's like, you want me to be your concubine and be your wife and sell me into slavery? And he was like, no, because he said that you did put up a good fight on the battlefield. And he said, I could use like a strong, like a strong woman by my side to help me lead. He was basically trying to like get it, like trying to be with her. He was talking to her about peace. He was saying like, he said, because she told him, because he said that I'm the one in charge, of the 10 rings. And then she's like, oh, with the 10 rings, do you rule these people? And he was like, no. He said, I protect these people, because it's all about protecting those, that aren't as strong as you, not making them kneel down and kiss the ring. So now, and then that's like the concept of that is like going over her head. But she ended up like kind of softening up a little. She warmed up to him. He tried to show her some things. He tried to teach her some things. And then eventually, like when when he got to the point where he actually had a thing for her, she used that against him, and she tricked him into thinking that she had a thing for him too. She threw him down on the floor. She tried to steal his rings, and it didn't work, and then she just said, fuck it, and then she escaped. So as she escapes the palace, she's running off. She gets on a horse, and then she meets this weird, it was basically like a griffin with no head or something like that. She can understand it, so that thing paired up with her and then told her like, hey, I can take you to a magical place where you'll be safe and you'll be protected. So he takes her to like this magical realm, and when she gets into this magical realm, she's met by the people who live in this magical realm. And these are a peacekeeping people. Because she said, she was like, oh, she's like, such magic on Midgard should not exist. And then she said, like, we're a peaceful people, and we use our magic to protect the world from evil. And then she was just like, well, I'm the princess of evil, so how about you all join my side? And then there was this like, no. They said, but what we can do is we can bring you in and we can teach you our ways, because she was just gonna, because she told them, she was just like, well, how about you, like, you teach me and put me on your team, because she's basically trying to buy her time so she can betray them. And then the girl, like the girl who was in charge of the clan, she knew it. She was just like, oh, she was like, come in and let us teach, and we'll teach you our ways. So she ends up teaching, so they end up teaching Hela the ways of the spirituality, the ways of the monk, the ways of the calm, and the ways of the people. As she's learning these techniques, she's actually developing a specific care for people. Like, her humanity is starting to come in. She's becoming one with the earth. She's becoming one, with each individual person that she comes in contact with. Her anger slowly started going away, and she started to develop an appreciation for life and for the people who have life. And it actually turned her into a more calm person. Like, she ended up putting on better clothes. She was becoming more feminine. She was becoming more, she was becoming more peaceful. And it was nice to see her make that change. Now, Handu, he had said to Odin, he was just like, Odin, he said, I can no longer see Hela, because she was in that magical pocket dimension. But then he was just like, oh, he's like, there's a being in Midgard that wields 10 magic rings. And then Odin's whole thing was, well, if such magic exists on Asgard, on Midgard, then this person must have killed my daughter, so I must go down there and get revenge for my child, which is basically him going down there to get the rings because he wanted the rings. So while Hela is basically sitting meditating, she sees the Bifrost being opened, and then she's like, oh shit. She's like, daddy's on his way. And then she goes, because she knows what's about to happen. She knows Odin's here to get the 10 rings. And then the girl who's been teaching her the ways of peace so far, she was just like, we're a peacekeeping people, but if you're going to go fight this war, she said that you'll do it on your own. We can't help you. And then she said that if she wants to truly obtain peace, she must defeat the man, who's forcing her to do war. Which kind of, it wasn't really him at that point, because he was done with the fighting and she was the one that wanted to keep going. But the two of them, their roles reversed now, because now Odin and his entire camp, they're storming the castle. The guy who's in charge of the 10 rings, he's trying to defend the castle. But while he's trying to defend the castle, that's when Hela shows up, and then she stands side by side, and the two of them fight Odin off together. Now, this is when Hela and Odin basically make a switch, because Odin's whole thing is he's just like, oh, I want the rings. He's like, I want the power. But she was like, no, father. She's like, leave these people in peace, and let them do what they do. And then he was just like, oh, my own daughter. He was just like, what happened to you? He said, you used to be thirst for blood. And he said, you always struck someone when they're down. But she said, yeah, but you sent me here to learn a different way. She said, you sent me here for peace. She's like, I don't understand why you want me to like kill these people, when the reason why I don't have my power now is because you sent me here because you said I was too bloodthirsty. She said, now you're the one that's bloodthirsty, and all for the wrong reasons. And then in the end, Hela used the techniques and the teachings that she learned, from the monks to defeat her father. Her and the 10 Rings guy, they defeated Odin together. And then Odin even had to admit, there was a moment where Odin actually had her by the neck. And then Odin was going to kill her. And then he was just like, oh, he was like, daughter, he was like, you've brought shame upon the family. And then he was like, what makes these people worthy? And then she was like, all life is worthy, father. And then that's when like her crown started moving. And then she said, just like you told me earlier, a person who doesn't value life should not have power over death. And then after that, she finally learned her lesson, just like Thor did in his movie. And then when she learned her lesson, the crown flew up. It reattached itself to her head. She got her power back. And then, like I said, that's when her and the 10 Rings guy defeated Odin's beard. They defeated Odin. And then she took the power. And then she actually became the ruler of Asgard. No, Odin actually, he bent the knee. He was just like, I yield power to you, daughter. And then she was like, thank you, father. And she's like, now myself and this man with the 10 rings, we will click up together. We will bring peace amongst the galaxy and amongst the universe. And that's basically how it ended. It ended with both Hela and the 10 Rings guy. I got to remember his name. Hela and the 10 Rings guy, they basically went flying all over the galaxy, like bringing peace to the galaxy. And there was even the moment where they showed Thanos getting ready to bring Gamora into the fold. That's when Hela showed up at that exact moment, I guess, to kill Thanos, to stop him from doing whatever it is he was doing. So that was pretty interesting how it ended. Like I said, peace was obtained. Hela actually, got redeemed, and thank you for tuning in. And even Odin, like Thor got an indirect shout out, because when Hela was talking about how her father, how mad she was at her father, she was just like, "Oh, he always undermines me. He won't let me be great." And then he started dating this Frida woman, so I'm like, "Uh oh." But that's something that was cool. I would have to say, out of all the episodes so far, this was probably my favorite one, only because of the redemption arc, with the Hela character. But I said, but share your questions, comments, and or concerns, and let me know what you thought about this particular episode. Hit me up on social media, hit me up on X, hit me up on Instagram, always on YouTube where you can leave your questions. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode of Marvel's What If. Do you think Hela deserved redemption? Were you happy with the overall arc? And we will continue to talk about it. So check out my other videos, because I got the previous 6 videos of Marvel's What If on my YouTube channel. I have the series finale for Archer in the Code, and I have my review for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom on Red Eyes Entertainment. And again, Happy New Year as we start the road to 2024. So that was it, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time, look out for Hela, because she will be bringing peace to your land. And until then, we're out this bitch.